Hello. Good afternoon. We're about ready to get started. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. My name is Wayne Norton. I am a 1986 graduate of Maine Maritime Academy and currently serve as a chairman of the Board of Trustees. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome you to this historic night for the Academy. But before we get started with the rest of the program, I'd like you all to please rise and turn your attention to the color guard as we present the colors. And please remain standing through the playing of the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ray clear, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Retire the colors. Thank you. Nearly a decade of dedication and planning has gone into bringing the National Security Multi-Mission Vessel class to fruition. We believe it's one of the most significant changes in the maritime training program since the inception of Merchant Marines. We have many people to thank tonight for carrying the torch for this endeavor. Throughout tonight's program, you'll hear words of gratitude from many people in the room this evening. I'm proud to begin with a brief acknowledgement of some of those gathered with me on stage today. First, I'd like to start by recognizing Senator Angus King. I want to thank the Senator for his support, his service to the nation, his support of the state of Maine, and for his continuous support of Maine Maritime Academy. Deputy Administrator,
Thank you.
Deputy Administrator Yee, thank you for representing MARAD, the interest of all state maritime academies, and specifically Maine Maritime Academy. Secretary Duffy, we are honored to have you here today. Thank you for your service and your continued support for the SNMV program. Secretary Chow, your vision and fortitude introduced the fleet to the United States. Without you, we would not be welcoming the new training vessel today. Thank you. Senator Collins, you have been an unwavering supporter of this mission, not only for Maine Maritime, but for the nation. On behalf of Maine Maritime Academy, thank you for your supporting us in Castine, in Washington, and here again today in Portland. Thank you. We're also honored to be joined today by two former Maine Maritime Academy presidents, President William Brennan and Gerald Paul, and by Hanwha Philly Shipyard CEO David Kim. Welcome. I want to further acknowledge President Brennan. During his presidency, Bill was a key leader in the consortium of state maritime academies who, along with the dignitaries on this stage and me today, made the SNMV class possible. Bill, thank you for your work. And without further delay, we're going to take a few moments to enjoy a video which provides a view into what the training vessel State of Maine will mean to the Academy and our fine state. When the video completes, we'll welcome Maine Maritime Academy President Craig Johnson to the podium. Thank you all for being here. Movie, please. Can we start the movie?
The state of Maine represents a modern, world-class vessel built to train the future mariners of the United States and to ensure America's maritime readiness for generations to come.
The arrival of the state of Maine for Maine Maritime Academy is the result of 20 years of hard work. This is the first true investment in the maritime industry in some ages. This is an honest game changer for our industry.
I know firsthand the profound value of the maritime industry and the critical importance of training the next generation who will carry it forward. This ship represents a lot more than just steel and engineering. It stands as a symbol of American commitment to dominance, economic strength, and national readiness.
Having a brand new ship will be helpful in getting us familiar with all the new technologies that are out in the industry. So when we get out there, we've seen it before and we know what we're doing and we're ready to roll.
There was a great sense of pride in building these ships, knowing that thousands of future officers are going to get their start on this ship.
I think this ship does three things that are cutting edge, unique, and really helpful not only to the cadets, but also to the country. The first is right here in the training bridge. This is one of the only vessels in the world that has a dual bridge operation, purely played for training and learning. The second is the advanced power management system, which will take a far step up from the previous opportunities that were able to be seen by the cadets, either in the commercial fleet where they were sailing with active Jones Act companies or in their own training ships. And the third would be the safer return to port compliance that comes out of the drop-down forward bow thruster and the availability for the ship to limp home upon a catastrophe.
A lot of opportunities with the training spaces that we have that we didn't have on our previous ship, a second bridge, a second engine room, all of the things that we need to really do a lot more hands-on and individual training with our cadets.
From a learning standpoint, this is the trend that ships are being built to, is the diesel electric, high voltage diesel electric with drives and motors to propel a ship. We're putting you into the real world, but we can also pull you back, go into labs, do our hands-on stuff there to learn how to do it. So when we get you back down into here, that you'll understand what you're doing.
I think training on the ship changes the confidence about my future because we have a lot more improved and modern technology that we get to learn on. Life on a ship is a little bit different than what we do here at school, so it's really nice to get experience and get these sea days in.
Their training can actually be on a bridge too. It adds a layer of comprehension that I don't think that we had before just because of resources, really doubles the opportunity for them.
In 2005, Hurricane Katrina, of course, devastated the Gulf Coast, and the school ships, for the first time, were utilized for a humanitarian relief mission. And that kind of spawned the idea of a purpose-built training ship that could also be used for other missions.
It positions Maine Maritime Academy as the world's leader in providing maritime engineers and deck officers to the industry with a world-class vessel, world-class crew, and a world-class college.
Having this resource, having this platform will change the future of American seafarers. And Maine Maritime is part of that process, and that's a really special thing for all of us to be part of.
Good evening, distinguished guests, Board of Trustees, elected officials, maritime partners, the MMA Foundation, and friends from across Maine and across the nation. Thank you for being here today. Chairman Norton, thank you for recognizing our distinguished guests on the dais with us. Secretary Duffy, Deputy Administrator Nee, thank you so much. Your presence here is a true honor. I'd also like to recognize the members of the Maine Legislature, specifically the members of the Appropriations Committee and the Educational Committee that looks after us. The work you do to support Maine Maritime does not go unnoticed. I'd like to thank all the sponsors at all levels, but specifically our Admiral sponsors, First National Wealth Management, and Andrew and Linda Veens. Thank you so much. Today is a landmark day, not only for our state, but our country. We gather to welcome the new state-of-the-art vessel to Maine, an arrival that not only represents impressive engineering achievement, but also a bold investment in education, workforce readiness, innovation, and service. I want to recognize the many hands and minds that brought this moment to life: the shipbuilders, Hanwha, the engineers, the crew, maritime professionals who will operate her and maintain her, our port and waterfront teams who make safe arrivals in port every day, state, local, federal partners whose support strengthens Maine's maritime future. I'm joined today by two former MMA presidents, William Brennan, who was the driving force behind the NSMV Endeavor, and Jerry Paul, who was the driving force behind our pier. I had the opportunity yesterday to visit former President Ken Curtis. Ken had the unique thing of being the governor of the state of Maine before he was the president of Maine Maritime Academy, something that none of us bothered to do, I guess. So it was a great honor to go see President Curtis, and he wished everyone well, wished he could be here today, and he let me know that he'd sailed on the first training ship, which was the Comfort, which he said he didn't care for very much, but he learned a lot from. So it was an honor to see President Curtis, who was my president when I was here, and a great many of those in this room. And he was a true gentleman and a fantastic president, one to live up to. Today we thank Secretary Elaine Chao, your vision and determination to build the NSMV program that will impact generations of mariners. Thank you for serving as our co-sponsor when we christened her in Philadelphia. Senator Susan Collins, words do not do justice for what you do for our Academy. Your steadfast support and support for Castine and Maine Maritime Academy is unprecedented, and we acknowledge that today, and we acknowledge that every day. The support you give us is unbelievable. Thank you for being a friend to all of us. This investment in the future of our country, the state maritime academies today produce about 80% of the unlimited mariners at sea. Our workforce programs deliver great value to the Department of Transportation, Department of Energy, with our nuclear programs, the Department of Ed, Department of Labor, and War, just to name a few. We have honored guests from Bath Iron Works, our partners on the workforce, and Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, of which we've all supported for over 50 years. We have an honored guest, Vice Admiral Goucher, who runs the U.S. Navy submarine program, where we would support building and repair of vital national strategic assets. Together, our goal is to make a game-changing difference to deliver the ambitious goals he has set forward. When we say state-of-the-art, we mean a vessel designed for the challenges of today and the needs of tomorrow. Modern navigation and communications, advanced safety systems, efficient propulsion, onboard power management, and spaces built to supply training. This ship embodies the best of what happens when maritime tradition meets modern technology. Her arrival also matters as it strengthens Maine. It supports good jobs throughout the maritime sector, operations, maintenance, logistics, training, and port services. It reinforces the reliability of the supply chains that keep our communities moving, and it adds to the identity that we share as a seafaring state. We are proud, capable, and connected to a wider world through our working waterfronts. If this vessel will serve as the training ship, her impact is even deeper. She will be a floating classroom where the next generation of mariners and maritime leaders will learn watchstanding, engineering, logistics, and seamanship under real operating conditions. The lessons learned about a ship like this are not abstract. They're practical, demanding, and they prepare people to keep commerce flowing, to respond when emergencies call. We are joined by our ship's crew tonight. They've been keeping a watchful eye and learning her systems. Captain MacArthur, Chief Coy, Chief Mate Hoffer, under your watchful guidance, this program will continue to soar. Finally, a vessel like this is a symbol of readiness. Maine knows the value of being prepared, whether that means supporting commerce, strengthening national resilience, or assisting communities during times of need. The capability represented here today is more than steel and systems. It's people, planning, and purpose. To let this arrival be more than a ceremony, let it be a commitment to invest in maritime education and apprenticeships, to strengthen our ports and waterfront infrastructure, to support the men and women who make the industry run, and to welcome young people into careers that offer pride, stability, and a chance to serve something bigger than themselves. It is my pleasure to welcome David Kim, CEO of Hanwha Philly, to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, President Johnson. It is an honor to be here in front of all of you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for your time today. It's an honor to join you today as we celebrate the arrival of the NSMV-3, or now what is called the state of Maine. This is a meaningful milestone, not just for the Hanwha Philly Shipyard, but for our partners, the Maine Maritime Academy, for our partners, MARAD, the academia, as well as the maritime education for the United States. This is a proud time, and we're happy to be part of that. I'd like to begin by recognizing the distinguished guests and speakers here today on the stage and in the audience. We are grateful for the leadership, your partnership, and your shared commitment for this important program. The National Security Multi-Mission Vessel is an important program that represents something truly unique. These ships are not only trained or devised and designed to be advanced training platforms, but they are also designed to support humanitarian assistance and disaster response when our nation needs them the most. That dual purpose makes the state of Maine especially significant. It reflects a forward-thinking approach to maritime investment, as well as one that prepares students while also strengthening our national resilience. For all of us at the Hanwha Philly Shipyard, delivering this vessel has been a source of immense pride, especially as being the first ship delivered under the Hanwha banner. It is a result of thousands of hours of work, careful coordination, and a deep sense of purpose. Our workforce understands what they built goes far beyond steel and systems. It is an investment in people, an investment in opportunity, and in the future of the U.S. maritime industry. To the students of the Maine Maritime Academy, this ship now belongs to you. It will serve as your classroom, your training ground, and your gateway to careers at sea and ashore. We are proud to play a role in supporting your journey, and we have every confidence that you will carry forward the strong tradition of excellence that defines this institution. I have a small story to share. Some of you know when you buy a new car, you have that new car smell. I was actually with the group before we had delivered, and someone had mentioned the new ship smell. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'll take it as a good thing because I think I always appreciated the new car smell. But for the cadets, we'll hand off the ship, and hopefully you enjoy that new ship smell. This moment also reflects the strengths of partnership between government, industry, and academia. We thank our partners, MARAD, Tote Services, and the Maine Maritime Academy. Programs like the NSMV show what can be accomplished when we work together with a shared vision and a commitment to excellence. Congratulations to the Maine Maritime Academy on the arrival of the state of Maine. We look forward to seeing all that this vessel will enable in the years ahead. And with that, it is my honor and privilege to introduce the MARAD Deputy Administrator, Sang Yi.
Good evening. You can say good evening back, it's okay. Well, it's truly an honor to be here with everyone today in the Maine maritime community. For starters, David, I've seen the state of Maine probably in Philadelphia maybe 3-4 times, and she always looked good there, but she looks great here in Maine. She looks at home, so. And I had some really good lines, but I couldn't see the video, but I heard my voice, and I think I stole my own lines, so I'm going to have to reconfigure here how I'm going to say the rest of my speech. But I'll tell you this. This is an extremely exciting time for the Maine maritime community, but it's also an incredible time for the U.S. merchant marine and maritime industry as a whole. Right? We've never had leadership like this. We've never had people in a country this focused on harnessing their energy to ensure that we can revitalize this industry that is so important for our national security and our economic prosperity. So it's thanks to President Trump, the leadership of Secretary Duffy, and Secretary Chow. Maritime is a mainstay at DOT. And Secretary Chow, she's the catalyst for this, and to be able to see the fruits of your labor from two administrations ago, that's quite a remarkable feat. So I know we're here on a high note, but I have to have this said out loud for everyone to remember this. Obviously, we have problems in our industry here. This industry has been struggling. You don't need to look much farther or dig much deeper than all the stats to see that our US flag fleet has dwindled. But there's some other scarier stats. I'll give you one that one think tank has studied out. One shipyard in China built more ships by tonnage than not just all the shipyards in the United States combined, but all the shipyards in the United States combined since World War II. Let that sink in about how dangerous of a statistic that is. So the time for admiring the problem is long gone. And that's why I'm grateful for all of the people in this room, because I know there's a lot of people from the Maine community. I know that you guys are proud of this academy, but I know that most of all of you are here because you support something much greater than just one school. You support making sure that our national security is protected through our U.S. Merchant Marine. So, with all of that, I have to say, if we don't start moving right now, if we don't start focusing on how to get cargo for our vessels, if we don't start focusing on how to revitalize our ports, if we don't start focusing, most importantly, what we heard so much today about our future and about people, about our cadets. I saw these faces beaming with pride when David Kim said, "This ship is now yours." You are the future. This ship is going to train thousands of future Merchant Marine officers, and they are the future. So it's quite the honor to be here. I wish the Maine Maritime Academy all the fair winds and following seas. I heard you guys have a cruise coming up with Texas Maritime. It's going to be beautiful. And with that, thank you so much. Congratulations again to President Johnson and the Maine Maritime Academy.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Midshipman First Class Odegaard Fields. I'm very grateful to be here. I'm also grateful to have the NSMV right next door, finally at home in Maine, where she belongs. And I'm very, very, very honored to introduce our next speaker. Secretary Chow has demonstrated that the best way to move forward is together. And like on the water, we find our strength when we row together as one. Now, it is my distinct honor to introduce the 18th U.S. Secretary of Transportation and the 24th U.S. Secretary of Labor, the Honorable Elaine Chao. Thank you very much, ma'am.
What a wonderful day to be in Maine. Or, as the powerful chairwoman of the United States Senate Appropriations Committee, Senator Susan Collins would remind us, every day is a good day to be in Maine. Secretary Duffy, thank you so much for being here today. Your presence speaks volumes about your priorities and also the priorities of this country on the maritime sector. On your very first day as secretary, you were involved in many, many other things. But your character and quality as a leader came through brightly. Your calm, determination, and also steadiness led our country forward. We are so grateful that you are at the Department of Transportation as the Secretary of Transportation. Chairman of the Board, Wayne Norton, Admiral Johnson, Vice Admiral Goucher, I thought he was going to be here. Okay. Deputy Maritime Administrator Sang Yi, and of course, Mr. David Kim. I think it's really fitting that we are gathered here in the great state of Maine, a place long defined by its deep roots to the sea. and what joy it is to finally see the transfer of this beautiful national security multi-purpose vessel from the Maritime Administration to Maine Maritime Academy. Today, as you have heard, we celebrate not just a ship, but the people behind it, the skilled workers, engineers, marine architects, and visionaries whose dedication and expertise made this moment possible. To the builders, I have to say, Mr. Kim, you and your colleagues, your skillful legacy will endure for decades to come. Before these new constructions, Philly Shipyard had about 650 employees. Today, the Hanwha Philly Shipyard has nearly 2,000 workers with a goal of 10,000. To the crew who called this ship home, may it serve you well and bring you safely through every journey. And to the midshipmen and the cadets who are training on this vessel, it took a lot of efforts to get this new ship into reality. I hope that you are enjoying serving on this beautiful new ship and understand your vital role in a vital industry to our country. And to all of us gathered here today, I think may this moment remind us of what we can achieve, as you have heard Admiral Johnson say, when we work together with purpose and resolve. But beyond its strategic importance, this ship also represents something deeply human: collaboration, perseverance, and belief in a common purpose. Since I was Deputy Maritime Administrator so many decades ago, there's been a movement to replace the training ships. After all, how can we entice young men and women to enter the maritime industry when they were training on such outdated old ships that still use steam engines? When I finally became Secretary of Transportation, I finally had an opportunity to make this a reality. The Secretary had a discretionary budget. And it was expected that this budget would be divvied up among all of the modes of transportation. Well, I took the whole kit and the caboodle, and I invested the whole discretionary budget of $300 million toward the building of the first training ship, the Empire State. Let me also acknowledge Captain Brewer, also of the AMO. Thank you, Captain, for being here. Really appreciate it. Your leadership is important. But there were 4 more new ships that had to be built. And while the department can continue to support this construction, we couldn't fund it 100%. So I needed a partner in the Congress. And I could not find one more visionary, energetic, farsighted, and skillful than Senator Susan Collins. She was then chair of the Appropriations Committee on Transportation. Very powerful then, even more powerful now. And I am here in person today to thank Senator Susan Collins in front of her constituents for her vital leadership role in making the state of Maine and the other 4 sister training ships possible for our country. Senator Collins has long stood out as one of the most effective and dedicated public servants in the United States Senate and indeed our country. Representing the people of Maine with integrity and diligence, she has built a reputation for thoughtful leadership, careful listening, and a deep commitment to bipartisan cooperation. In an era, I'm not finished yet, I got a lot to say. In an era often defined by political division, but you can clap anyway, her willingness to work across party lines has allowed her to deliver meaningful results, not only for her constituents, but for the nation as a whole. For Maine, Senator Collins has been a consistent and fierce advocate. She understands the unique challenges facing a largely rural state. Her work has helped secure funding for critical projects, bolster economic development, and protect the natural resources that are central to Maine's identity and livelihood. And she approaches these issues with both a practical knowledge and a genuine concern for the people that she serves. Just from the Department of Transportation in a 4-year period alone, Maine received over $56 million for various infrastructure projects. On the national scene, Senator Collins is widely respected for her independence and careful decision-making. She takes the time to study complex issues, weigh the consequences, and act in what she believes to be the best interest always of Maine and the country. And what truly sets Senator Collins apart is her steady, empathetic approach to leadership. Rather than seeking attention or partisanship, she prioritizes results and service. And her career demonstrates that effective governing is built on collaboration, respect, and a willingness to put people before politics. Through her work, she continues to make a significant difference for Maine and contribute so much to America. Please allow me now to introduce you to Senator Susan Collins, and please join me in welcoming the great senator of this great state, Chairwoman and Senator Susan Collins.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Secretary Chow, for such a generous introduction. Without your leadership, we wouldn't be here today to celebrate the awesome new State of Maine ship. I had the honor of touring it before this event. It is absolutely spectacular. And I loved being accompanied by not only the great MMA president, Craig Johnson, but also the young cadets who will be shortly embarking on a training mission. They're the ones who taught me to describe the ship as awesome. And it is. And let me extend a warm welcome to Secretary Duffy to the great state of Maine. It's wonderful to have you here. And all of our other distinguished leaders from the Navy, from MARAD, from the shipyard, and all of you. You've each made such a difference. So I thought I would give you a little more background on how this came about. First, I should point out that Elaine Chow, former Secretary of Transportation, head of MARAD before that years ago, is the sponsor of the ship. And according to President Johnson, I am the godmother of the ship. I'm not sure whether that's an official term that is used by the Academy or the Navy or the Coast Guard, but I'm happy to be the godmother. So during my very first year in the Senate, in 1997, I was honored to christen the previous ship to bear the name State of Maine. As we celebrate this next generation of training ships, let us be grateful for the vital role that its predecessor played for nearly 3 decades in preparing students to excel in the Coast Guard, the Navy, and the maritime industry. But let me tell you, when we got that State of Maine ship, in 1997. It was already a used vehicle, a used vessel, I guess I should call it. It wasn't this spectacular new ship that we see today. So I think that it was when Bill Brennan was president that he took me down many years after I had dedicated the ship into the engine room. And he showed me the cracks where you could see outside. And I thought, gee, that strikes me as kind of dangerous, you know? Couldn't water come in? And how they were trying to cope with that. So that's what convinced me that we really needed a brand new ship. But there were many steps along the way for this journey. And we have arrived at this glorious day after a very long journey that was not without its treacherous shoals. In 2019, when I was chair of the Transportation Subcommittee, which had jurisdiction over MARAD, I was working very hard with Secretary Chow, who shared my determination to secure $300 million for this ship. But brokering an agreement between the House and the Senate for that appropriations bill was no easy task. It required months of negotiation and advocacy. And you may have heard of the Office of Management and Budget in Washington, not my favorite agency. In fact, I won't put anybody on the spot here, but it's not a lot of people's favorite agency. So the main headwind that we faced was a budget proposal earlier that year from OMB that called for nearly $100 million less to construct a much smaller training vessel for MMA. It would have been a far less capable ship. After all, think of the difference, as President Johnson said to me today. The old training vessel could accommodate 360 students and instructors. This one, 720. And if they need to expand in order to respond to a humanitarian disaster, for example, they actually can accommodate 1,000 people living on that ship. What a difference that makes. So what really bugged me is that I knew that Massachusetts Maritime Academy was receiving the $300 million, which I had voted for. And this was despite the fact that Maine Maritime Academy has nearly the same number of Coast Guard licensed graduates and the same need for sea training. Moreover, changing the design would have meant that the Maritime Administration would have to start from scratch. So, as you can imagine, being a bit competitive, I wanted to make sure that Maine had just as good a ship, if not better, than Massachusetts. And thanks to Secretary Chow, we were able to secure the additional funding to get to $300 million. So there's another story I want to tell you, and that is the story of the stern of this magnificent ship. So some people know this story. So I can't remember who it was who sent me a photo from the Philly shipyard. And much to my dismay, anger, and amazement, beneath the words "State of Maine," we had the incongruity of seeing a place 800 miles away from Castine, Maine, designated as the home port. It said Norfolk, Virginia. So, as you can imagine, I was not happy about that. So this was in 2022 in the previous administration, and we had been informed that the Maritime Administration had proposed labeling all of the ships with Norfolk, Virginia. Well, needless to say, it was pretty easy for me to get my colleagues from the other 4 states with maritime academies to join me to push back against this policy. And to its credit, Merit switched its tack, and you will notice that under State of Maine, it says Castine, Maine, as well it should. So the State of Maine training ship is such a great source of pride for Maine Maritime Academy, for the state of Maine, and for our country. MMA's training vessel has always borne the home port of Castine, Maine on their sterns, carrying Maine's rich maritime heritage to ports around the world. I continue to work hard at great school and its amazing students, instructors, and leaders. I've worked hard to receive and to secure another $4 million in this year's education funding to support MMA's efforts to meet the shipbuilding industry growing demand for workers. That was great news about the Philly shipyard. And to further strengthen Maine's leadership in this important sector. And the bill also includes funding to purchase more equipment for the state of Maine to support the capabilities required to provide the next generation of mariners with state-of-the-art technology. And I'm pleased to share some good news tonight. And that is that the Navy and the Maine Maritime Academy will soon announce a wonderful new partnership that will support engineering and support more maritime education and strengthen our industrial base. That's great news as well. So on this historic day, we do well to reflect upon the history that brought Maine Maritime Academy into being. In 1941, with war and tyranny on the march, our state legislature established Maine Maritime Academy to meet the challenge. And Academy graduates have been meeting diverse challenges ever since. From the urgent need for merchant mariners during World War II to the 21st century challenges of national security, the global economy, science, technology, energy, humanitarian missions, and protecting the environment, Maine Maritime Academy has always met the challenge. And we are so lucky to have President Craig Johnson at the helm. The awesome new state of Maine that we celebrate today carries on that proud heritage. May all who sail on her have fair winds and following seas. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. It's lovely to see you all here. My name is Second Class Claire McDonald, and I'm the current regimental commander. It is my honor to introduce Sean Duffy, who serves as the 20th United States Secretary of Transportation. From Hayward, Wisconsin, Duffy earned a bachelor's degree in marketing from St. Mary's College of Maryland and a Juris Doctor from William Mitchell College of Law in 1999. As Secretary, Duffy has prioritized infrastructure investments, efficiency, safety, and the speedy delivery of projects. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today. Please give him a warm welcome.
Well, hey, everybody. First, I want to ask for a dispensation in this Holy Week. If there was a place I could channel my Wisconsin roots and wear a pair of jeans, I thought it would be Maine, so I wear a pair of jeans, not a suit. Hope you guys are okay with that. Thank you, Maine. Now, like any good man, I was supposed to stand up here with sang, and we were going to take all the credit for the work the ladies did, but that's not going to happen today. It really is important to think through how does a great day like today happen? And it happens because you have a great senator who sees a need and is willing to fight for funding to make sure that today happens. And it doesn't happen overnight. You don't snap your fingers. I mean, this is a long time in the making. It's a thoughtful process that takes years to bring us to this moment. But it's Senator Susan Collins who did that, had that vision. And then, I mean, the fact that we're actually here today celebrating the state of Maine, it happened because the 18th Secretary of the Department of Transportation did this contract really well. And oftentimes in government, we don't build things on time and on budget. And the way she set this project up, the state of Maine was on time and it was on budget, which is fantastic. All because of Elaine Chao. And just I'm going to take a side note because in transportation, I work very close. I need money, right? I work very closely with Susan Collins, and as she fights for Maine, which, by the way, I think she's going to announce there's $68 million coming for bridges in Maine. Not to front runner, she's going to tell you what that looks like later. But it's not just Maine, it's America. And we need a lot of investment in America and around American infrastructure. And there's no better partner and someone who has no better vision to look and see, what does this country need? Not just my state, but America. What does it need in aviation, in air traffic control, in roads and bridges, and in the maritime industry, in rail and transit? And I got to tell you, I couldn't ask for a better partner fighting for resources to make sure we have the best infrastructure in the world. And I know you love her here. But as I work with her in Washington, I love her there as well. So Susan Collins, thank you so much for your partnership and your leadership. We are so grateful. Now, I know the bar is still open and there's still food back there, so I'm going to be very quick. There was a time when America built more ships than anyone in the world. And there was a time that we had more mariners than anyone in the world. And sadly, we let that slip away. We let it go. And it has taken vision, specifically by our president, to say, you know, we are going to have American maritime dominance. We are going to focus on the maritime industry. We can't cede shipbuilding to the rest of the world. We can't cede our mariners to the rest of the world. Actually, that belongs in America. Now, I would tell you, are we going at lightning speed right now? No, we're not. We're going kind of slow. We're working, but things are moving in the right direction, and we want to get the policy right. But you're going to see more movement in the coming months, in the coming years. And what's great is I'm sure all of you for a long time, for decades, have screamed about why doesn't anyone pay attention? Don't you see what's happening? This is a national security issue. It's an economic issue. And you have an administration who actually has heard you and is working to deliver on your behalf. And I guess I couldn't be prouder of that because, again, I look at the world right now and I see we do really well in air dominance. We do really well in land dominance. We do really well in space dominance. But you have to do very, very, very well on the seas. And so we are going to continue to focus. We need to build more ships. We need more mariners to sail those ships. And you have my commitment because you have President Trump's commitment that we are going to deliver for this industry. Today is a great day in that you got to build credibility. And again, with these two powerful women delivering a day like today on time, on budget, finding the resources, and starting to train young mariners with state-of-the-art technology, that is the first step in many steps to bring us back to U.S. maritime dominance. Thank you for having me. I look forward to having a beer and maybe some cheese with you guys. Let's make this be day one of many more great days to come. Thank you and God bless.
For those wondering, this is Craig signing the financing on the brand new ship here. It should be done in a minute. Well, while they're doing this, I want to thank everybody for being here. The signing of the ship's transfer documents is, in fact, the last event for today. So upon completion of that, we'll call an end to this evening. And thank you all for being here, and safe travels. Thank you as always. We appreciate it.
See you again sometime.
So we sent, I know. Did you see what we got on that?
A little bit. I track it.
So maybe it's only at OMB now, but yeah, that's going. That's moving through. I had the White House approval on it. I think we're gonna put that out. But it takes time now, right? It takes. Yeah. So.
Not to take up your time, but Maine Maritime Academy is